transformed by the age of 7. Crazy, right? So if that's going to be the case, we have to have some hard evidence to start chipping away at those existing beliefs. And for me, the Strengths Finder was that tool. So I fell in love with it, studied it through and through, went through a long certification in order to become an expert on this profile and helping people to shift it from, a bunch of new labels, right, that we put on ourselves to something that will actually transform their lives and work as a launch pad. So through and through, I found myself now in the coaching profession and helping solo entrepreneurs to really, step out into that greatness, because we, as anybody else does, we have all those limiting beliefs ourselves about, our worthiness to market and our worthiness to ask for money and our worthiness to really put ourselves out there. And so that's the space that I've found myself in.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
I love that journey. So tell me about, so as you've leaned into coaching and you've redefined your life, and now you help other people redefine their lives. Tell me where your book came to fruition.
Yeah. So I felt like I needed to write a book. It's just one of those gut things. Like I should write a book, and so it's funny as we think about the shoulds as they come up. So it may not have even been the right time, but thank goodness I did it. It was the right time, as it turns out. So I wanted to become a published author. I felt like I had some things to say, and I noticed that in our realm, our self-development realm, we have a whole bunch of books that tell us how wonderful we are. That's great. But then they don't give us a whole lot of actionable details on how to actually achieve that, right? And so we've got productivity books and we've got self-development books, but where do the two meet? Right. And so that's where From Frustrated to Frickin' Awesome came from. Is it's important to know that stuff, but then you have to put it into action. Right. And then you have to go into this cycle where now you're going to learn some more stuff and you're going to create a new plan. And now you're going to carry out the new plan, but then you have to reflect too. And then you got to go back again and learn more. Right. So it's a process really that helps people to spiral up instead of spinning their wheels is how I ended up coining it. Finally, one day I was like, oh, that was so good. I'm going to hold on to that because that's what it is. So they can actually progress forward. So that's where the book actually came from. And funny story, I always equate writing a book to having a baby. So like you get pregnant and all of a sudden you're, oh my gosh, like what have I done? There's no going back, right? Right. So I had put out this, I'm going to write a book in a super public way. And I was like, what have I done? I can't go back now. And then you kind of get into this stride, you're writing the book in the middle of it. And it's kind of like the second trimester. You're like, I actually feel pretty good. I'm good at this pregnancy thing. All right. You get into the third trimester, which is like, towards the end of the manuscript and you're getting it edited and you're just like, it is so painful. Just get this thing out of me. Right. And it's just terrible. And I can't breathe and all of these things. And then you have the baby. Right. And now you got to name this thing. So first of all, it comes in the mail and you're like, all of that. And this tiny little package. And yet you feel like it's so beautiful. It's just so beautiful. Right. But you have to name this thing too. And the initial title to my book was actually What Competition? Setting Yourself Apart So Your Competition is Irrelevant. And
That's one of those like mid 90s, 2000s.
Oh my gosh, it was so bad. It was so bad. And I was just like, I got to the end of the book and I was like, this is not the right name. Right? It's kind of like when you name your baby when you're still pregnant, and then the baby comes out and you're like, this is not the name. It's got to be a different name. And so my cover designer, my two editors and myself, we got together one day and I was so frustrated. Like and my cover designer, her name is Heather. She's amazing. She's like, all right, Alissa, like bottom line, what do you want people to know? Like, they take nothing away from this book. What do you want them to know? I'm like, I just want people to know how freaking awesome they are. And she's like, okay, we've got something. All right, we've got something. So the book will take you from frustrated to freaking awesome. So that is how the title of the book actually came about, was out of this very frustrated place where I had this beautiful baby and I had no idea what to name it.
I absolutely love that. Wow. And that's an amazing, I love the story of how you came about, right? Because what you're truly trying to communicate is what the book is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's also what you teach. So tell us a little bit about, like what you're truly passionate about now. Now your book's out, you're speaking, you're coaching. What's really awesome right now? What are you really passionate
Yeah.
about?
Yeah, it's so amazing. So just this last weekend, we got to go out to San Diego. And so I got to hug you in real life, in real person. And I only get to do that just a couple times a year to Hal Elrod and John Berghoff's Best Year Ever Blueprint. And so if you're watching this and you're thinking, what is that thing? Go look it up and then just go. Trust me on this, just go. And I went last year as well, and I thought, well, this is going to be good. I'm going to soak it in. I'm going to have a couple of breakthroughs, and it's going to be great. But I had this even bigger breakthrough this time, and it was really amazing. Kind of peels back all the layers of what it is that I do. Right? What is my true magic in what I do? Because yes, I am strategic. Yes, I have lots of things to offer. I am pretty freaking awesome in my insights and the things that my skills and et cetera. Like, but what is my one true superpower?
Mm-hmm.
And it's this. It's that I can see you. I can see you like in the deep. I can see you.
Yes.
And the thing is sometimes you need somebody to see it in you, your magic, before you can actually see it yourself. Right. And so then a lot of times the process goes, someone sees it in you, and then you finally see it in yourself. And when you finally see it in yourself in such a deep way that you can now embody that and turn around and see it in others.
Mm-hmm.
So that is what I truly do. And
Wow.
and I use the Strengths Finder as a base, right? But again, it's to help prove that point. Like, this isn't where we're going to stop. I'm going to share with you all these things that are amazing about you so we can start focusing on the good instead of what you perceive as the bad, so we can really truly begin to see you as you are, not as you think you are, not as you wish you were, but as you are.
Yeah.
In such a deep way that now you can see your husband, your children, your coworkers, your clients, your potential clients. And, in business, we talk about, we have a responsibility to get out there and share your magic with the world. And, it's not marketing, it's sharing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But when we're so focused on our own, insecurities and our own shortcomings, right? We don't necessarily have the courage to do that. And then if we get that outside rejection, we think it's about us when it's maybe just about the place that they're in. But when you can begin to really embody that, wow, I can see me too. I can see all the greatness, and I'm going to step into that. That's powerful. And it doesn't matter if you're an entrepreneur or a stay-at-home mom or someone in a salaried position working for a corporation, right? Or someone working for a nonprofit or a college student or a teenager. Like, when we can start to spread that magic, that, I think, that's what lights me on fire. And so that's what really came up for me this last weekend, was really clarifying, what problem is it that I solve? Yes, I can give you some business strategy. Yes, I can help you to reframe this or that. The real magic is helping you to reframe you, so that you can solve those problems, because you have that greatness already inside you.
Yes. Oh, that's so good. I'm so excited. It was such an honor to be able to connect with you over the weekend and just really hear in your voice the true passion behind your message and how you help people.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hear a second book.
Yeah. So it's funny. I was talking with Honoré Corder this last weekend, who is going to be one of my mentors this coming year. And she wrote the book on writing books. And so we were kind of giggling, because there's not just one bestseller in me. There's probably 2, possibly 3 books that are going to be coming out in the next year to year and a half. And yeah, I'm just super excited. And I came home for the first time. Writing wasn't hard. I was so clear about what this message is and all of the outcomes to this message. Like, it's just, there's several books. So yes, another book is coming.
Yeah, I'm so excited. It's going to be
Which
awesome.
I don't have that book baby's name yet, but it's coming.
A lot of times you need to meet the baby first and then the name comes, right?
I wholeheartedly agree.
Oh, you are incredible. I'm excited to just hear your wisdom. It's just amazing. So thank you.
Thank you.
Help me move into, so we've chatted a little bit about your true passion and how you're helping people. Tell me what 2019 looks like. We're coming up at the end of the year here.
Yeah. So I was able to actually really solidify 4 major goals this last year, or over this last weekend, that I was struggling with. And I'm a goal setter to the nth. Like, I love goals. I thrive on goals. And I really was having difficulty. So number 1, and this is the goal that cascades. So as you're watching here, and you're thinking, well, 4 goals, that's crazy. Because I always tell people, focus on one goal, because otherwise you split your focus and you lose sight of all of it, right? But go ahead and have more than one goal. Just make sure that one of them will cascade into the rest, and that's where you tunnel, you focus your energy, right? So the one goal that will cascade into all the rest is that I am going to, as I shared just prior, I'm going to help 1,000 people see themselves as they are. And so I actually went through, I happen to have the first page of this, and I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, you can kind of see. So no names get to go on there till the first of the year, because it's a 2019 goal, although I might start adding names on beforehand. But I have 20 pages with 50 slots on there of names, because I want to personally affect 1,000 people with this message, and help them see themselves as they truly are. So that's my number 1 goal. And yes, I am literally writing names down. So if you want to be one of my 1,000, contact me, because I would love to share with you just what I see in you, so that you can see it too. So that's number 1. And that will happen through my services 100%. It will happen in my day-to-day conversations for sure. And it'll happen, through many other avenues. I'm certain the universe will conspire to make this happen. Number 2 is a financial goal, which I don't need to share the exact numbers of that, but it's a big financial goal. And that's just naturally going to happen. If I go out and I serve this many people, that's going to happen. Number 3 is writing at least 1 best-selling book. And then number 4 is to become a bodybuilding figure pro. So that's a big physical goal. I did my very first bodybuilding competition this last year, which is another really fun story, which I would actually love to share if we have time. I don't know what our time frame is here, but and I'm dead set on, and I feel it. So, and becoming a bodybuilding pro is a is a task for sure. So yes, in the figure category.
Right. Oh, I'd love to hear about this.
I'd love to jump in and ask a question, Alissa, and that's you seem to be very intentional with the goals that you've chosen to set. And they all, knowing you, and if someone were to hear that, they'd go, wait a minute, you want to write a book? You want to be a bodybuilder? You want to make all this money? And it would seem to be like they would all these maybe unrelated kind of goals. But if I know anything about you, I know how intertwined and how interrelated they are. So can you talk about how you went about actually choosing those goals, and why you decided to set 4 different ones in those various areas?
Yeah, absolutely. So in past years in business, I've always set financial goals. But the truth of the matter is that being rich doesn't drive me. It doesn't push me in any way, shape, or form. Now, that being said, I don't want to leave my family without a roof over their head. Okay, so money is important. It just doesn't happen to drive me. And so now with this 1,000 person goal, it's real, and it's real connection, and connection with real humans, right? Not with, thousands of subscribers or whatever else, right? Connection is what drives me. And so seeing this sheet here, and I've got it all hole punched. So I even have a 3-ring binder with all my little sheets in it that once this is filled, so this will go up on my wall, and this is how I'm going to track it. So in case anyone wants to know, like, how on earth are you going to track that? So at 50 at a time, this will go up on my wall. And once this page of 50 is filled, it goes in my 3-ring binder, and the next 50 comes out. Right. So that I don't have all 20 sheets on my wall, because quite frankly, that's really overwhelming. But 50, I can start there. Right. So that's how I'm going to track that. But so that human connection thing makes me thrive. It makes me really push towards that. And what I know is that if I affect that number of people, the financial stuff just happens. Now, the reason that I do have a financial goal is that I need to create the discipline and the processes around tracking that. Right. So it's not, so the number one goal cascades into the second, if that makes sense. So my focus is 1,000 people, but it cascades into the second goal. Similarly with the book writing, right? I know that a book well written and well marketed will draw more people to me so that I can get to that 1,000 number, right? So behind every keystroke is the connection, the hope and the drive to connect with yet another person who will then get to go on my list, right? So again, all 3 of those go right into that. Now, the bodybuilding one, you might think is a completely separate one. But what's interesting, as I mentioned, I had my first bodybuilding competition in May, and I ended up on the wrong stage. And so that story, and now the power that will be behind that story when I show up on the right stage, right? Because I was able to see myself in that full light, it aligns right with that message. And that achievement allows me to speak into more people's lives that will end up on this list. So even though they seem all like different goals all over the place in different categories, the one goal, the 1,000 people, that is the primary goal, and it cascades into the rest of them. So yes, so that's why, Hector. But yes, you're correct. There's always strategy behind what I do.
Wow.
So it is actually kind of an interesting story about my first bodybuilding competition. And if we have just a moment of time, I would love to share it, because it was such a poignant moment for me, even though it started with an epic loss.
Well, yeah, let's go into this story, and then let's talk about the gift of giving.
Yeah, absolutely. So I trained for 5 months. I went from sedentary and eating and drinking whatever I wanted into 6 days a week working out, no alcohol, no dairy, no sugar, in a very, very strict meal plan, et cetera. I mean, it was like, boom, intense. Right. And I did it because I had a very clear goal in mind, and I thrive on very clear short-term goals. So that's how I was able to kind of push through and do it. And I walked on stage. We'll have to find a picture of me on the stage. It's in my Facebook profile someplace. So if you guys want to Facebook stalk me, go ahead. And I walked on stage at 9.5% body fat in the bikini category, which 9 to 10%, 9 to 11% is about accurate for walking onto a bikini stage. Now, the bikini category in bodybuilding is a softer category. And that's where my trainer wanted me to start, because quite frankly, we just didn't know what was underneath the 20 pounds of fluff that we took off while I was going through prep. And we didn't know what kind of body type I had underneath it all. And so she's like, let's start there, because it's not as intense, because you don't have to cut down your fat as hard. That seems like a really good place to start. And we all agreed that was a great plan. Let's do it. Well, out of 8 women in the 2 classes, or the twice that I walked on stage, I was in the bottom 3 of each. And like the entire time I was manifesting a win. I just knew it. And I told my trainer, I said, I just feel it. I'm going to win. I'm going to win. And then I went one step forward and I said, but you know what? The universe may have a different win in store. So I'm not going to be attached to the medal, but I am going to win. I'm fully confident. And so then when I was in the bottom 3, I was like, oh, holy crap. What happened? And my daughters, who are 11 and 12, they're adorable. They're like, this is terrible, Mom. You deserve to win. This is crap, blah, 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 which is, as close to curse words as I let them get right now. Right. And I was like, well, the other women worked really hard too. Like, let's not take away from what they did. And my husband says, babe, I don't know. Like, I'm not a bodybuilding judge, but like, you look better than any of the women up there. He's like, but that, that's me, and maybe I'm biased. And I'm like, well, I hope you're biased, right? But, and so I decided that I never lose. I either win or I learn. And so I approached the judges and approached the head judge, who was pretty harsh to some of the women on the stage. Like, through the microphone, she's like, lift your hip, and she was giving criticism like while people were on stage. And so I was a little nervous to talk to her because I wasn't sure that I quite had the stuff to like hear her criticism, but I was like, I'm going to approach her anyway. So she and about 5 other judges that were standing around, and I said, can I bother you for a moment just to get some feedback so I can do better next time? She said, yeah, sure. And so I said, what could I do better? And she's like, well, what I'm about to say might be offensive. So, do you want to hear it? And I was like, oh God, okay. Brace yourself, Alissa. And I said, yeah, I really do. And she goes, well, have you ever considered figure competition, which is a different category, leaner, bigger shoulders, more muscular, etc. And I was like, well, yeah, actually, we just thought maybe that would be a good thing for me to train for next year. She's like, yeah. She goes, your posing was so good. It was on point. You were so confident up there. And she started saying all these things, right? And then the other judges started kind of ears perking in, and they were like, yeah, but your abs and your shoulders are so nice and broad, and all these, like, all compliments. And she looked at me and she said, may I ask, why have you stayed in bikini? Like, stayed in bikini. This is my first competition. And every last one of their jaws dropped. They're like, what? But you looked like you belonged, on the stage. But the bottom line is that I belonged on a figure stage, not on a bikini stage. Right. So here's the story in it. And this is why this becoming a figure pro goal is so important to me. Because so often we feel like we put ourselves out there. And let me tell you, the backside of this bikini was tiny. Like, it took some courage to walk on that stage with this bikini covering as little of my body as it did. So we put ourselves on the stage, and it takes courage to do so. And then we lose. And we just think, what the heck? I'm not good enough, right? Or I screwed up, or I didn't try hard enough, or any of that. And what it actually may be is that you're just on the wrong stage, right? You're just on the wrong stage. So when I get to walk on stage in October of 2019 as a figure competitor, I know, because I know that that's my body type now. I know that that's the stage I belong on. And so now it's about preparing for the right stage, right? So, but you can't figure out if you're on the wrong stage unless you walk out on the stage. And I think that's the lesson, and that's the hope that I want to give people by achieving that goal, that this figure pro goal thing is actually not at all for me. It's to help people see that you can get back on the stage even after what could have been a devastating loss. I could have taken that, went and cried in my soup, and went, I'm not good enough. I tried really hard, but I just don't have what it takes. And instead, I chose to win. I chose to learn instead of lose. Right. And so that's what drives me with regards to the bodybuilding stuff.
Wow. Profound. It's profound. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. There's always a win in everything.
Yes. So tell me, what, we're coming up on the holidays.
Mm-hmm.
You shared a little earlier that you might have a bit of a gift.
Yeah. So I have a couple things. If you want to start diving into what it is that makes you awesome, there's four things that I believe set you apart. And so I actually have a giveaway. It's a little e-workbook. So yeah, you're gonna have to do a little bit of work, but perfect time to do that little bit of work. And so it's free. I'm giving the e-workbook to you free. So if they go to daretossucceed.com/, for the number four things, you can get your free eWorkbook. And Daire is spelled, I guess you can kind of see it behind my poinsettia back there, DAIRE, like my name, the number two, succeed.com/four things with the number four. And you can get your free eWorkbook. And again, as we're coming up on the holidays, you might be able to see the greatness in somebody else. And maybe it's your wife, or maybe it's your husband, or maybe it's your teenage daughter, somebody in your life that you're like, oh, they're so great, but they just don't believe me. Right. So I have a service called the Intro to Your Awesomeness, because it is the intro to your awesomeness. And it's just a $97 service, right? It's just like, let's just touch the surface of just how awesome you are. And, I first put it on the market so that people could see, I want to know why I'm awesome. But what I really discovered, especially in this holiday season, is like, sometimes, again, you can see it in other people. And you get to be that person to say, I see something in you and I want you to see it too. So you can actually gift that intro to your awesomeness to somebody that you love and care about in your life. And they can go to daretossucceed.com/I always do this wrong because I tried to make it a little acronym. ITYA, Intro to Your Awesomeness. So daretossucceed.com, ITYA, and they can order that up and let me know in our correspondence that it's for a loved one, and then we can get that all ordered up. So yeah, go ahead and give the gift of helping somebody else see just how great they are. What an amazing gift that is, right? We all have enough stuff, let's be real. But that gift is one that keeps on giving.
Yes, give the gift of experience with Alissa. Oh, awesome. I better put that on my Christmas list because I want one.
Yes, we need to get you one.
This has been a fantastic interview, guys. I appreciate the authenticity, Alissa, that you share, just the presence that you have. And so I would encourage you guys. We already linked up the four things in the
awesome. Thank you.
You guys can go grab that, and we'll send out the ITYA link with all the notes as well. So I appreciate it, and we will see you guys on the next recording.
Yes.
Thanks for having me, all you guys.
Thank you, Alissa.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
We're gonna live it now.